With a title like the Destiny 2 Edge of Fate campaign is bad, I just had to click on this video and see what we're talking about with Destin here.
So I finished the Destiny 2 Edge of Fate campaign last night, and I wanted to share a few thoughts about it because I got to be honest with you, I don't get the hype, not even a little bit. Now, if you don't want to see a negative Destiny video, I get it. Just shut it off now. I'm going to go into this a bit, and you're probably halfway into an angry comment already about how I fell off or got old. Both are true. I'll save you the time. Now that the rest of us adults are here, I wanted to talk about how this is probably one of the weakest campaigns I have ever played. Compare what we just did in Edge of Fate to Gaul in Red War or something else. Spoilers are coming up, everybody. In Edge of Fate, we answer a distress call to stop an energy source from blowing up Kepler. We stop it. We get a cryptic message at the end saying to bind the 9. Who are the 9? Why do I care? Who am I even fighting against, really? Maya Sundaresh again? The story is convoluted, full of filler, full of tedious puzzles. We'll get to that later. But the point is, it doesn't really work. They are pulling on or introducing too many threads, some of which are great, like the Ikora bit, but it lacks a compelling drive to keep playing Destiny, period. So compare that to Red War. Gaul shows up, destroys the tower we loved, destroys the ball, remember that? Kidnaps the main character, kills that main character, blows up all our shit, almost kills us, takes away our light, kicks us off of the tower, and he almost succeeds in destroying the Traveler.
Okay, when you compare the two, obviously the Red War wins, but there is an age-old expression which is, comparison is the thief of joy. So I would say comparing the Edge of Fate to like one of the absolute best campaigns in Destiny history is, it's not necessarily unfair because the Edge of Fate should have delivered maybe the same emotional response in some ways, but definitely fell short. And the second part he mentions is that the Edge of Fate doesn't really give us a compelling reason to keep playing Destiny, which I think is such an excellent point for him to bring up here, because the Edge of Fate is meant to be the launch of a new saga, and it's meant to really drive you to play and continue to play Destiny post the final shape. Edge of Fate's narrative definitely lacked that. It should also be said that Destiny isn't like a narrative game that's like driving the gameplay forward. It's like the gameplay is first and foremost the loot, the activities, and then the narrative kind of comes second to all of that. At least in my perception. I could be wrong about that. Feel free to comment down below if you disagree.
Need something more recent? Final Shape. Every single character we've met teams up to kick the shit out of the Witness, and it culminates in an epic Avengers Endgame style cutscene where Zavala leads the charge to end the Light and Darkness saga for all.
The Final Shape campaign definitely blows Edge of Fate out of the water, but the Edge of Fate campaign is meant to be, not of a similar note. It's meant to be the start of something new, maybe leads us into a little more mystery. I kind of see where Bungie's angle was. I just wish my biggest gripe for the Edge of Fate campaign is that I wish I finished it feeling like I need to know what's next if they're going to go the mysterious route.
And in Edge of Fate, a planet might blow up. A planet and people we have no emotional investment in whatsoever. Remember when Titan, Io, and Mars were deleted? We had emotional and financial investment there. Here, we're introduced to an alien race that can only talk through text bubbles, something that has me more worried about Bungie's production budget than...
That actually is really annoying. The text bubbles really makes me wonder, like, if this is like a byproduct of Bungie's new budgeting issues, like we can't have as many voice actors. The text bubbles definitely do not deliver as powerful a message or narrative as actual voice lines.
The aliens, and Lodi, who was some dude who answered the weird phone and traveled through time. Look, I watched the Byte video, I get what happened, but having played it, I do not think this story was engaging. The Rasputin story was more engaging than this. If there was a story that this should have been about, you say it with me, it should have been about Ikora. Why?
I agree with him that, and I also agree with his criticism that it wasn't as engaging as it should have been, given that it's meant to be the launch of a new saga.
Do we care about anything happening on Kepler? We're told an extinction level event needs to be prevented at the end of the campaign. Why aren't we told that at the beginning? And at the end, how do I connect to that as a player? There's no big bad really to be angry at. There's no Taken King. There's just Maya Sundaresh, who's been kind of around for a while being an annoying dick. The through line should have been Ikora, because you can connect to that. But they just didn't go there. Instead, we're supposed to care about Lodi, who's just some guy. Sure, 3 uses him to speak through and give us 1 warning before 3 dies again, but all this other stuff, it's so weak. Who exactly is the big bad I'm supposed to be against here? Some Archon I've killed a dozen times? During the raid weekend, we saw a peak of 1/3 the player base of almost any other major release. The gear drops are all messed up. There's a new leveling system that throws a lapsed player like myself into the deep end. Yeah, sorry, but most players aren't reading every TWID and watching every live stream. It's through and through the messiest release Bungie has ever done. Oh, and the Matter Spark? Oh my goodness. What a badly designed puzzle mechanic. If you don't get whiplash when it's activated, you'll get whiplash of boredom from doing the puzzles.
That's so good. That is such a good roast.
Half the frickin' time, I'm just looking around for some sort of visual cue, and the level design just makes it hard to spot in a few of the instances.
Yeah, the Matter Spark basically just ran into like, I need to get through this area. Where's the hole I need to, roll through, right?
Where these puzzles are introduced. And overall, it's kind of cute, but just doesn't feel fun in execution. Most times, you're rolling around as a ball, trying to solve a puzzle. You stop being a ball and you shoot thing, then shoot boss. It's bare bones, basic stuff.
And that's, to be fair though, to play the devil's advocate here for a second, you have to have the campaign be simple enough that your average blueberry jumps in and can complete it, right? There should not be, raid level mechanics in the campaign, right? I think that would be probably worse, or puzzle solving that's actually like requires, high degree of intelligence and like, multiple moving parts. Like the campaign, it's gonna be pretty easy to get through. It's meant to be a narrative experience, a story experience, an introduction into, the new saga, the new world, the new planetary destination, etc. Some new characters and kind of, where the story is going, more so than an engaging, puzzle solving type of thing. Those puzzle solving things are kind of reserved for raids, dungeons, maybe even exotic missions.
I think they're never going to use this mechanic again. I think this was a shiny new toy to show off in trailers, and they just didn't do enough with it.
Oh, they're definitely not ever using Matter Spark again, that's for sure. Especially after all the feedback.
Sure, you can explode shields later, and that one boss fight where we use it in a neat way was kind of cool, but I don't see this standing the test of time. Mattermorph, it's a lot better than the thing that I don't like very much, because you get to reshape the arenas you play in, and that's kind of a neat mechanic.
I mean, except for the fact that they kind of only reshape in one way. Like you just, throw the thing and it just puts the platforms that probably should have been there already, I guess.
But what does that actually amount to? Moving some rocks to shoot a thing, or moving a pipe so that you can complete a puzzle? And then there's the teleportation that also has potential, but they never go full Portal or Portal 2 with it. The craziest thing I did was teleport through a death laser and then land on my platform by jumping a few times to land on it. I did it my first try accidentally. Instead of regularly doing cool things with these tools, they chose to make you use them at moments in the campaign that just grinds all storytelling to a dead halt. Like in the middle of a boss fight, I will often clear the entire arena and then just dumb myself around the map until I solve a puzzle. Do a DPS phase, and then it's right back to puzzle solving again. It is not well done, and I wanted to just enjoy the story, so I played through on normal, and there's never any feeling of danger. I played other campaigns on normal, and the pressure felt like it was there. I never had a chance to just stop. Nothing's happening. I'm just stopping, looking around the map, being like, okay, where's Mattermorph? Where's the spark thing? All right, and then I'm supposed to go in there. I'll try that and see what happens. It's so weird. And sometimes I know the solution, but because I went to the wrong node first, I had to check all 3 of them and then find the one the game wanted me to break first. Like, come on. Some things I'm looking for, just to be positive for a second, some things I'm looking forward to post-campaign. The missions where I get to know Drifter and Ikora a little more, those are all over the map, and I'm excited to play them. There's a new exotic quest. Those are usually cool. People seem to like the new raid, even if I think they're getting to be a touch too much with the mechanics. I was trying to do like a song thing. Even if they're getting to be a touch too much with the mechanics in Dungeons and Raids, I'll give them that one. But overall, this was a huge miss in my opinion. The post-game stuff seems interesting, but the chatter online is about a mountain of bugs they are fighting, including very important things like where the cool new loot drops versus the old garbage loot that doesn't have enhanced perks, timed materials for leveling that are just going to go away, level resets at the next season. These are honestly bugs and problems that will erode the hardcore, and it will overwhelm the casual like me who will just call it a day after the campaign. I have never felt this apathetic after a story. I don't know what's propelling me forward right now in Destiny, and Destiny has never left me with such an uninteresting narrative hook before. Even Curse of Osiris teased Saint 14 at the end, and I did not like Curse of Osiris. What's our tease here? An ethereal set of beings we need to bind in order to stop an extinction event we know even less about? Yeah, sorry, I just don't get the hype on this one.
Well, to play on a counterpoint he said before, like Gaul entered our tower, messed up our tower. You know, he entered our home and messed it up. I mean, technically, you know, messing with, we're not in our home anymore like tower, but it is our solar system still, right? Like we're still in Sol, so we kind of do need to, you know, protect some of these things. I mean, it doesn't feel as meaningful as literally our tower and watching the Traveler get trapped and all of our stuff getting destroyed and Gaul kicking us off the edge. Like it doesn't bring out that like visceral emotion in the same way. So I agree with him that it falls short in that regard. I wish that Bungie had done a better job delivering it. I don't know how they fell short in the way that they did, but I felt as though I was playing it that it was like more meant to be mysterious, intriguing, you know, the introduction to all these new elements and all these new things. Whereas like by comparison, you know, the final shape was the conclusion of everything. Like it was the end of the Light and Darkness saga, the end of the Witness, this big bad guy. Should it be held up to the same standard? Should the narrative deliver as well as the final shape and the Red War campaign? Yeah, honestly, it probably should, right? Like Bungie should learn from past successes and failures and should be able to deliver a narrative with the Edge of Fate that gets everyone excited. But it seems as though they delivered a narrative and it's lukewarm at best.
Maybe it's the raid race high. Maybe it's the new stuff to do for the hardcore players. You know, when they're not deactivating it because it's bugged. But we've already seen a drop of like 25,000 players given today's peak when I'm recording this. We're a week after launch. That's 1/4 the players on SteamDB. And that is not a good sign for a game that needs a community to survive. To compare to something like Final Shape, that took a month to drop 25% of its players. And Edge of Fate is already on the back.
But in comparison, though, the final shape was designed to have a whole calendar year, so it was very front-loaded, and Edge of Fate is meant to be kind of spread thin a little bit more, and then obviously there's a secondary expansion that's coming in 6 months, Renegades, obviously. So I think Bungie's long-term goal is to not front-load as much, and we're kind of hoping, I guess, that the population stays at, like, a regular high, or, like, I guess, like, not high, but, like, a medium to low population, right? Like instead of it dipping as low as it did at like the last month or two of the final shape, what if the population stayed at just a medium pace all the way through, month after month, all the way till Renegades, and then from Renegades all the way until whatever happens in the next calendar year? I think that might be Bungie's long-term goal, or at least that's what it seems like with their new content delivery method.
Foot with a peak of 108,000 players on SteamDB, that is 1/3 the peak of any of those other expansions. And here's my harshest take. I think players know that Final Shape was the time to stop playing. And I think they feel like the second best time to stop playing is now.
Oof.
There's less at stake than ever before. And this gear reset feels like all my gear is garbage now. Do I really want to grind another 2,000 hours to build back up my loot?
Yes, you do, because that's what we do as Destiny players. That's Destiny as a game, though. I feel like I hear this criticism a lot about like regaining their loot or getting more powerful loot. And I kind of squint my eyes a little bit because that's just what Destiny is as a game. Like it is the loot game. You need to always be getting more loot. And there does kind of need to be a reset at some point in time, because without a reset, you just get infinite power creep where we just get more and more powerful. And while it does feel extremely good to get more powerful, we always want new powerful weapons and armor. it makes balancing the sandbox an absolute nightmare for Bungie. So a massive reset like this is probably a necessity, probably healthy for the game overall, although it can feel a little diminishing because you've invested so much time into your previous weapons and armor. But you were meant to, ideally, have had those weapons and armor for long enough that you were excited and ready for something new. Like, you can't tell me that the way you want to play Destiny 2 is you want to go in, beat some activity, beat some mission a couple times, get this like perfect god rolled weapon, and then just use that one thing for 5 consecutive years. Like, if that's really the way you want to play, you're really going to have a bad time playing Destiny 2, because they're going to keep cycling in new weapons that are going to have more powerful perks. They're going to nerf some of the perks on that god roll that you got in a few months, or maybe they even nerf the entire archetype. There's going to constantly be these changes, and it's an ever-evolving sandbox, and you're gonna be in a perpetual loop of grinding loot. That is just what Destiny 2 is. And for some people, they're like, I don't want to forever grind loot in the grind loot game. And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't want to grind loot in the grind loot game?
In this new system that's going to reset my progress every season? Not particularly.
That part I don't like. Resetting the power back down to 200, that's wild, especially after how crazy this power grind is.
Not without a Destiny 3 level reset, and I think they would have been a lot better off doing that, but they've got to split their time between this and that other game that isn't showing good signs of progress. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm going to go play more Destiny 2 now and see if I change my mind. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Wow, yeah, I am not normally this pessimistic. Like, I've had my sour takes on Destiny. I just don't get this one. Big thank you to Chris Freddy, Philoroni, Spingetter, and Aries.
All right, so there it is. The Destiny 2 Edge of Fate campaign is bad from Destin. And while I do agree with a lot of his criticisms, I would also say that Bungie has to experiment with some new things. And in the process, especially for Destiny 2 players, when we kind of get used to things being a certain way, there's going to be this weird time period of like growing pains where we're learning these new systems, adjusting to Bungie's new content delivery method. And my hope and my goal is that Bungie doesn't change things so much that they kind of lose their core audience. It doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. Some people are definitely frustrated, but they're mostly like frustrated and they want some tweaks to things. I don't see a lot of people who are like, this whole entire expansion is garbage. Take it, put it in the garbage, and bring us back to final shape. A lot of people seem to be advocating for tweaks, adjustments, changes to some things in general, which I think is probably an overall good sign. I know that Bungie is always looking for constant engagement with the game, and it seems like right now a lot of people are engaging in conversations in regards to how the campaign went, in terms of how power leveling is going, in terms of what they think about the portal, and so on and so forth. So only time will tell if the Edge of Fate is going to be a big success, but that's a wrap on this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.